We have the guest house featured here tonight. So we've got Jeff Passow and we have Wayne Lawson with us. And so I'm going to start right off the bat with Jeff. Tell us about yourself, your position at the guest house, and how long you've been there, things like that. I know you've been there for many years, which to me, we were just talking about before we jumped on, speaks volumes about you, and it speaks volumes about the guest house itself. So, Jeff, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and who you are at the guest house.
My name is Jeff Passow. I'm currently the director at the guest house. I'm also a CPRC recovery coach and a Genesis coach. I've been with the guest house for since 2018.
Wow. Yeah.
Started off part-time and just worked my way up to director. Um, And I myself have been in recovery, will be 27 years this year.
27. And that's
27.
that's one thing I was going to mention next is to share a little bit about that. Um, while you're there, where were you 25 years ago? And then what did those next couple years, the next 4 years or so look like? You know what I mean? Where were you
Oh,
at in life? How did you just discover recovery and what set you on your path?
so my path, I struggled with addiction for 18 years. Um, I lost a family, I lost my house, I lost everything I had. So I struggled with that. I was homeless for a little bit, and it was through meeting my wife now. She got me in church, and I gave my life to Christ January of 2000. And my story is the pastor that was preaching that night, he told me, he said, when you leave this church, you will never pick that stuff up again. And here I am 27 years later. I have never picked it up, have no desire to pick it up. Um,
Not that, I mean, well, I guess I am interrupting you, but when you say that, are you saying that, because I'm familiar with prophetic words, you know, are you saying that there was just this prophetic unction that came over him and he just spoke into your life
yeah.
and pop? Yeah.
Yes, because it wasn't the normal pastor of the church. It was a visiting minister. So
Okay.
he didn't know anything about me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just, briefly my story of that I struggled with substance use, but he
Yeah.
didn't really know anything else.
That's awesome.
And then from there, it was kind of hard to get a job just because, in my addiction, I kind of, kept a job long enough to get a little money.
Right.
And so it was hard to get a job. And so Walmart actually hired me, and I turned that into an 18-year career, worked myself up to an assistant store manager. Everybody always told me, one day you're going to be a teacher, you're going to help people that have addictions and things. And, after 18 years, you kind of like, well, okay. Um, and then it was all just a God thing. Bruce called me out of the blue, um, and just said, "Hey, are you ready to come up here and do something?" I had met Bruce when I first come to Newcastle. I basically came in and said, "Is there something I can do? You got a broom? You got something? I want to get involved." I served on the board of the guest house for about a year, and it wasn't my thing. Um, I did devotions on Mondays for a while, and then my job schedule at Walmart got a little too hectic, so I quit doing that. And then my wife told me in 2017, after telling me no for a lot of years, she said, "I think it's time you retire from Walmart." So I retired the next day. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And the minister that married me and my wife, I hadn't spoken to him in 16 years. He texted me, he said, call me. I was praying. I'm supposed to tell you something. I called him. He said, something that you've been told that you were going to do, something you've been wanting to do. It's getting ready to happen. Be patient. And a month to that day, Bruce called me and said, hey, are you ready to come up here and do something?
Wow.
And that's how I got here.
Wow. That is awesome. You mentioned Walmart. I had forgot you had worked at Walmart. I briefly remember that. So I never knew all those details, but what it does speak to, and I know Wayne believes very similar to the way I do, and it sounds like you are right there also. God knows how and when to connect all the dots. All he needs us to do is be in the right place at the right time with a yes,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And that is awesome. And so many lives have been changed, have been touched, have been moved upon. I know when I've been with you out in public at times at different events, guys are coming up, talking to you, sharing with you, and you can tell there's a real bond there. Um, Wayne, speak to that because I know you've been a part of the guest house for a little bit now,
Hmm.
been around Jeff quite a bit. Um, Speak to what you've seen because like I said, I do see that bond, and that bond is authentic,
Hmm.
right? You can't fake that. And so speak to that a little bit, what you've witnessed over the past few years.
Yeah, I got involved with the guest house back in 2021, I believe, Jeff. I can't believe it's been that long.
Mhm.
Jeff and I didn't really know each other before that. I knew of him, and I think through mutual friends, he knew of me. But we instantaneously got really, really close. And I'll attribute Jeff being probably the biggest reason that I got involved with the guest house. I went in thinking that it was a church initiative, the house church pastored by Joe Joplin. I thought it was just solely his
Sure.
outreach initiative. And I soon found out like Jeff wasn't attending the church. Multiple other people on the board weren't attending the church. And that's when I knew something more significant was happening for our community and the need that was there. And Jeff was right in the center of all of that. Honestly, I mean, you described it perfectly, Clay. Like when you're in the community and people that Jeff has connected with, when they come to him, there's an authenticity with him. There's an appreciation. I mean, I know of situations being the director of the guest house. Jeff's not always the good guy, and I've seen some people, had to be sent on their way, for lack of a better way to put it. And those people have come back to him and just showed appreciation for the authority that he carries in his spirit. One of the things that I did want to point out, Jeff mentioned, the instantaneous healing. He and I spent a lot of time talking about that in the early years of my involvement with the guest house because I'm with you, Clay. I believe God can instantaneously touch and heal, deliver. And I asked Jeff his opinion on that, and he said something that I'll never forget. It stayed with me. He said, because God chose to heal me or chose to give me a miracle, now he can use me in the healing of other people. So when God doesn't give that instantaneous, miraculous turnaround miracle that we ask for, that's really what I've watched Jeff become is just the conduit for healing in people's lives through addiction. And just again, that authenticity connection that he has with people, it's the real deal. And I think that that's why we have so many people that look to us and come back, even if they fall into hard times again.
Yeah. Um, and that's also one thing you mentioned there about Jeff that I have gotten to notice over the years that I really appreciate is he is the gentle giant, but when he needs to, he's like, no, you're not pulling that on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been
Uh,
there. I've been there. I've done that. you're not pulling that on me, you know.
Clay, I do know what you mean. I know what you mean in terms of the residents, but also when Jeff interacts and has to stand for the residents and for the board. I'm on the board of the guest house, and I'll tell you, nobody has a heart for those guys like Jeff. So he's the right man for
Sure.
the job. So I've seen him. I've seen the giant come out not so gentle when it comes to caring for those guys and the residents that we serve.
Sure, sure. So, Jeff, you had in the beginning there, you had mentioned the Genesis Project, and I've been seeing some posts on Facebook. Tell us,
Cross.
tell us about that specifically, and how you have begun to implement it at the guest house.
So the Genesis process is basically a combination of science, recovery tools, and Christian faith all combined to help people understand and overcome unhealthy behaviors. And so that works through 10 processes. It runs people through 10 processes, and it starts with basically just writing down the problem that you want to address. And then it'll ask you to write 2 ways of how that affects you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. And then from that point forward, you take that problem and you just process it through 10 processes until you get to the end. And what you have when you're done is you have your own personalized relapse plan. And there is a what they call a faster track in there. And when you get that faster track filled out, it can predict a relapse months before it even happens. And you can actually look at that plan and tell where you're at from recovered to relapse. And then you can gauge where you're at, and then you can use that to go back up towards recovery.
So,
And so we've taken that class, and then I have just through trial and error teaching classes, finding out what works, what we've added 22 classes with that.
wow,
So, and we do a lot of classes. We do men in the mirror, biblical manhood. We do relapse prevention, conflict resolution, anger management, self-esteem, boundaries, communication. So,
wow.
it's a year long, and they go through 23 classes.
So, in
Uh,
all those classes with those titles or subjects are all tied in or branched off of the the foundation of the Genesis.
yes, the Genesis is basically the core of the whole program.
Yeah.
And so we have a class once a week, a group class, and then each participant then has a one-on-one with me every week. And then
Okay.
we kind of work through the book together.
Yeah. Which that's awesome. So that makes it real personal, real personal. And two, when I hear you say what you say, um, I think so. Tell me if I'm wrong. So I see this program as a process of maturing and developing a person's self-awareness,
Yes,
who they are. They learn how they react to certain things and why. And then
Mhm.
once they begin to see their own pattern and become self-aware of their own pattern, then they're able to tell where they're at and how close they are to falling off the cliff, or where they need to put on the brakes and start backing up. Is that kind of a good
correct.
assessment?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Clay,
Well,
I'll throw in there too.
yeah,
Like every relapse begins with it's a behavior. We're worried about
yes,
the behaviors that exist,
yes,
right? But what drives behaviors are emotions.
yes.
Emotions are actually fueled by beliefs. And so we find if we can identify what's going on in the beliefs of someone, we can cut off before they get to the behavior of a relapse. And it's not just addiction. I mean, Jeff
Yeah.
will agree. We've seen so many people just temper, anger management. They get a lot of help just because the behaviors that we identify as destructive are addiction, but it can be as simple as overeating. I'll give you a quick example. It was a beautiful day, our first beautiful, spring day here in Indiana. I had an extremely stressful day. I was in the car, on the phone, like dealing with some situations on my job, and I passed by one of my favorite places, the Dairy Queen, right? She began to call. She began to call out to me today because it was nice.
Yeah.
And I literally, had the craving because I didn't believe it was going to be that bad of a thing today. I've been hitting the gym a little, and so that craving won over. That behavior won
Yeah.
over in me. Whereas I should have pumped on the brakes if I'd have been following how Jeff teaches the classes and said, "Does this fit where I want to be right now? Does it fit my weight loss goals?" And guess what went out today? The Dairy Queen craving.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. That explains things so perfectly as far as relapses start with some type of feeling, some type of emotion, some type of belief system, right?
Yeah.
Because I've always been a big, something I talk about a lot is basically something to the effect of be sure the truth you're believing is not a lie.
Mm.
Because whatever's true to you, you will live out and you will manifest in your life. But there are truths that we have believed that are completely untrue. They're lies. I
Yeah.
remember I don't recommend this. I when I was a youth pastor, I would tell this story, and I would always tell the youth, I don't recommend you doing this. Actually, don't do it. Okay. But when I was a kid in high school, I was in the gym, just being me, and I went over and I told this one girl that this other girl had said some bad things about her. And then I went to that girl and I told her the exact same thing about the other girl. And then I went back and leaned against the wall. I literally watched them march across the gym and go
Man.
nose to nose with each other. And they were giving it all that until they figured out what happened. Thought it was the most funny thing in the world at the time. At the time.
Yeah,
But
sure.
they believed a lie.
Hmm.
And so they acted out of that belief. So, man, that's powerful stuff. So, Jeff, talk about, I know we're still a little ways, I think we're a little ways away from it, but you have an annual dinner also for the guest house, right?
Yes.
A
So
banquet,
yes, we have an annual banquet in September. Um,
September.
September, yes, and that is that's a huge help to our our operating expenses every year.
Yes,
It's a huge banquet. And that's just a place where you can come, you can get a meal, and you can learn about the guest house. You can hear testimonies from the guys and how the guest house has helped them, and we just celebrate the victories that we have here at the guest house. I mean, our banquet has definitely grown just in the last 3 years. A lot of that has to do with community members coming alongside of us, planning our banquets, organizing our banquets, doing our social media. So by all those people coming in and helping us, that has increased our awareness, and it has also gained a lot of support.
good,
And
good.
our philosophy here at the guest house, if it's God's will, it's God's bill. So we don't worry about money here. We know that if we're faithful with the little we're given, we're going to be given much, and we don't really stress too much about things like that because he always provides. He's been providing for 15 years. We just have to keep our feet on the ground and fighting the good fight.
Exactly. There's a couple of things that are awesome about that. One is peace, right? Just peace, just knowing you're in the will of the Lord. You lean on Him. You have that relationship there, and it's faith that builds our relationship, right? But the other thing is too, by having that type of approach to something like this, also keeps any ideas that could lead to some type of corruption. It just keeps it out,
Hmm.
right? An attitude like that safeguards against any type of corruption or anything like that. I'll just put it that way, right? Like, because we've seen it time and time again, right? Different organizations. I it's sad, but on a regular basis now, it seems like you see this ministry or that ministry or this church or that pastor. It's become a regular thing now, and it's sad. I hate it, but there's nothing we can do about it other than stay true to our path and true to what we're called to do and do it faithfully. Like I can't do anything. I can't do anything about Indianapolis, right?
Hmm.
Like I can't do anything about the direction of the country, but I can do something about my community.
Hmm.
And it's right here, right now. We make a difference, right? Um, so Wayne, you've been on a few years now. Is there any like special highlights or anything that as you were, because we're still in the third quarter of 2026, is there anything you're looking forward to from a board's perspective, um, throughout this coming year?
Yeah, so the banquet's always the big event for the year. We've
Yeah.
discussed some other initiatives that we're putting together. We are starting to like grant funding is coming back alive in the state of Indiana, and so we've got some works that are going that direction. Really, we have just a constant outreach, a constant cry. We don't always need your money. What we could really use are people that want to come in and spend a weekend painting, a plumber out there that has, will give us 4 hours of dedicated work, every quarter. Like it's not just a financial need, and I think that that's what makes the ministry so beautiful is that like we're not just begging for money. Jeff humbly mentioned his time at Walmart, and we often joke that the people at Walmart didn't know that they were getting him ready for the work of God, because all of that work goes into all of those thrift stores that we have. Like Jeff is still working at Walmart. He's just changed his boss. He's just changed, but the work remains the same. He's sorting, he's managing, like all that work that he did so many years back is still there. So we don't need people just always just cut us a check. We need people to come in and want to help, want to volunteer, want to come in and literally just spend some time with the guys. I mean, Jeff is very humble in his he laid out that program like it was no big deal. But what he said is, I mean, he's teaching 23 sessions, not a week, but that culmination of all that work that he's doing. He meets with every one of our residents individually that are a part of the program. So you start adding those hours up, that's a tremendous lift and a tremendous amount of effort. The materials that we buy for the guys, we're turning we're nickels into dollars as best we can. But if we just had people that got a burden for, hey Jeff, I'll contribute, and I don't want you to worry about buying the books for Genesis. Each book is about $35, and so we don't violate copyrights either. We're not running
Right.
materials.
Right.
So those
Hey,
are the
Christians are good at that, right? I mean,
right.
it's all God's,
Yeah.
God created it, so
Yeah. I mean, and having said that, like Jeff's been through hours of it. He's a certified trainer for the Genesis process and another ministry we do called Navigate. All that stuff, we've done it the right way. We've gotten the certifications the right way. So we would make a plea that anybody that wants to find another way to give, maybe you want
yeah,
to just buy some material and we could give you a shout out at the banquet for that.
yeah,
It's not just, hey, cut us a check and we'll give you a thumbs up and send you on your way.
yeah. So each book is $35.
Well, that's one book. Like
Okay.
I said, Jeff doesn't do things halfway. Like I'll let
Yeah.
Jeff take over here because he literally has done the best he could to keep all those costs down, but we want to do things the right way. These men are in like we at the guest house, our mission is to serve these men like they're under our care. They're under our roof, right?
Yeah.
And so this is we don't want to do it cheap. Jeff, I'll let you
Yeah.
speak on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and so Jeff, as you touch on that, as we got a few more minutes left, I want you to speak to two things, if you can, within a short amount of time. But one, like Wayne mentioned, a plumber come and give us a few hours. My question to that is like, um, is that to be like on call in case something happens, or are you guys expanding, like trying to build more rooms, or do you already have projects that need worked on, and then get into the cost of the books?
Yeah, the plumbers and things like that, that is just help with maintaining the building. The building's 102 years old. There's been lots of things that's went through the pipes. The urinals, those things are always a huge factor in our budget. Just toilets sticking, just things not working. So
So
yeah, it's
basically,
more
there's
of
kind of
the
always
up
something.
yeah, the upkeep or
Yeah.
just somebody that could come in and change light bulbs or
Okay.
just things like that.
Yeah.
That I mean, right now we've got three staff members per 28 people.
Okay.
And I wear a lot of hats. I
Yeah.
don't have room for a maintenance hat, nor
Yes.
does
Right.
anybody want me to have a maintenance hat. Um, so yeah, we can always use, people that just want to come in and do some community service to, just maintenance, upkeep, things like that.
Okay. Okay. Now, for the next couple minutes, speak specifically to like cost of books and things like that.
So, it cost roughly with all the books, it roughly cost about $134 per man to take a year class to have all the materials.
Okay.
So right now, we do not charge for our programming. That's something all in itself that you can come to a rehab program for a year and it doesn't cost you anything.
That's huge.
Um, so we're paying for all that right now, and like right now as we speak, I have 12 people taking Genesis.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So let me I'll put it this way. I already know your answer, but so if someone wanted to, uh, it would be helpful because I know with banking now, you can send an automatic check, right? Just automatic each month. You can send a
mhm.
check. You don't even have to do anything. If somebody wanted to send a check automatically each month for $10, that would be pretty helpful.
Massive.
Yeah,
That's
that
about 120 bucks of that 134.
yeah, that would be helpful, or just as a church, as a body, just says, hey, we want to sponsor one guy for a year
Oh
to
yeah.
take this program.
Yeah. Yeah. We're shooting off all kinds of ideas here.
Well,
And you
I'll throw out there I'm going to be doing some fundraising for the banquet, so keep some of these ideas in mind. I might be
Okay.
pulling Clay in for some
Right.
support on these as well
Right.
because that's
Right.
definitely
Hey,
the direction we want to go. Make it physical. Get people to
yeah.
understand 135 bucks and you just help one person go through a recovery for an entire year.
Yeah. Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
one more volunteer just one more thing is, sometimes just coming in here and talking to these guys, because this is what makes me successful with these guys is they just want somebody to love them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
they've spent a lot of time in their life and they haven't really had a lot of love. And so when you can love them and they know that, you can talk to them about anything.
Yeah.
And that's just what makes me successful. I'm humble. I
Yeah.
don't hold my position as a director. I'm just like them.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to be the best I can be every day, and I just try to show them love and be there for
Yeah.
them.
One thing I've noticed as we close out, I think about this a lot. One of the most manipulative type of one of the most manipulative people that you can come across is someone in their addiction, but one of the most authentic and loving and compassionate and understanding person you can come across is someone that's recovered from addiction.
Amen.
So they're so honestly, they're so fun to be around. Um, they're just joyful. Like it's so interesting to me, and I love it because there's so many things that don't get them down because they've been there, done that, and seen so much. You know, they take things in stride a lot better than people who so-called have it together. That's been my experience that I've seen. And I love it. I love it. Just very authentic, very authentic. So like Laura and Godby, Leah, those girls, um, they're amazing people. You know, they've been there, done that, and they're doing what they can to help others right now. Anyways, hey, we're running out of time. Zoom's going to cut us off. So again, I always joke about my low budget podcast. So, but I love it. I appreciate it, guys, and thank you for coming on. And we'll continue to look forward. I will be sure to tag everybody as we release this, and we'll try to get the word out. And maybe someone will, you know, just come up with $10 a month.
Mhm.
So, all right, guys, take care. Thank you.
Thank you,
Take
Clay.
We'll
care.
see you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.